Hello, welcome to our Hot Jam Showcase on protecting your intellectual property with forensic watermarking. My name is Claire, and my colleague Kat and I are delighted to bring you into the fascinating world of forensic watermarking. We will explore exactly what forensic watermarking is, the benefits, how to seamlessly integrate it into your workflow, highlight some compelling use cases, and discuss the return on investment that it offers. We thank you for attending and look forward to diving deeper into the captivating realm of forensic watermarking during this presentation. Oh, there we go. Awesome, let's pick it up. So what exactly is watermarking and where does the forensic enhancement come in? So watermarking is a simple technique used to establish ownership and discourage unauthorized use or distribution. We're used to seeing a visible watermark, which is typically a logo, some text, or a graphic that's overlaid on top of a digital asset. Media Valet does offer a great visible watermarking solution, but forensic watermarking takes it to the next level. Our partner, Steg AI's computer vision algorithms analyze the content of an asset, and these algorithms determine which pixels in an asset can be modified to encode origin information. It simultaneously ensures that the forensic watermark is robustly encoded and that the coded image is free of any visible artifacts. The technology also ensures that the watermark survives any image editing and uses a strong encryption algorithm to ensure that any information encoded into the asset is protected from unauthorized access. So to sum it all up, forensic watermarking embeds a unique, invisible, and unremovable identifier onto your image, GIF, PDF, or video, which ensures that the asset is easily traceable and very secure. It's important to note that watermarking and forensic watermarking have slightly different use cases, which Kat is going to cover a little later on in this webinar. So now that we know the difference between the two, let's take a look at some of the benefits. So it's robust. Forensic watermarks are designed to survive various types of manipulations, including compression, resizing, cropping, filtering, and format conversions, and even works on screenshots. It's invisible. Forensic watermarks leave no visual artifacts, and as such are undetectable to human perception. Because of this, they will also not visibly degrade the quality or aesthetic of any digital content, meaning that the watermark will not interfere with any viewing experience. It's a deterrent, so the presence of a forensic watermark will act as a deterrent to potential infringers. Knowing that the content is marked with a hidden identifier will discourage unauthorized reproduction or distribution. It allows for unique identifiers. Forensic watermarked assets intended for different recipients will appear visually indistinguishable, but they contain different forensic tracers. And because the assets carry unique information for each vendor, client, or recipient, you can easily determine its origin if there's a situation involving unauthorized usage or distribution. So overall, forensic watermarking is a robust technology that's invisible to the eye. It will deter unauthorized usage. And in the case that an asset is misused, leaked, or manipulated, it provides you with the ability to easily trace to identify its origin. So with all the benefits laid out, let's chat about some of the significant advantages of adding this to your workflow. So there's no more manual watermarks, which reduces the chance of human error. You can apply it to assets in bulk. So every asset goes through the automated process, which eliminates the need for manual intervention, freeing up your team's time for other important tasks. There's no need to manually compare assets. So instead of manually comparing content or relying on visual cues, the automated detection system ensures that the asset tracking is extremely reliable and very fast. So by adding this integration to your workflow, you'll reduce the chance of human error when applying watermarks. You'll free up your team's time to complete other projects. And there's no need to manually compare potentially leaked assets since the automated system does it all for you. So let's take a look at how the process works. So users are going to upload the assets that they would like to be watermarked into their Media Valet DAM, or they already have them there. They'll then take those assets and add them to a to be watermarked folder. Those assets will go through the forensic watermarking process and then be distributed into specified client, vendor, or any recipient categories, all with unique encoded IDs. If you find an asset online, you'll then upload it to your detection portal, and it will be analyzed to tell you its origin. So to get a better understanding of how you could use forensic watermarking, let's go over to Kat for some use cases.
Thanks, Claire. I was just trying to answer one of the questions, but I can do that afterwards. Yeah, so what I'll do now is just go over a couple real life examples of where companies might want to incorporate forensic watermarking into their digital asset management systems. I'll start with manufacturing examples, since these customers are often working on proprietary products and need a way to be able to easily share assets with an ecosystem of distributors. So for example, an electronics manufacturer might be coming out with a new product that they've been working on for 6 months or even longer. By this point, all of their product images, videos, brochures, and other promotional materials have been created prior to the launch. And now they need to be shared with people like retailers and distributors that are helping them get their products to market. Oftentimes, this can be thousands of different vendors with supply chain partners, packaging companies. They may also need to share assets with media outlets to generate buzz around their new product, as well as internal teams and even stakeholders and shareholders. So with a DAM, this manufacturer is able to easily upload all of their assets into a central repository. They're able to grant the proper access and permissions to the right groups, so they can bring all of their ecosystem into the DAM. And then additionally, they're able to categorize and segment their product assets by things like product type, product line, or region. Within the DAM, they're able to select which vendors they want to share assets with, whether that's going to be the distributor, media outlets, and then with one click of as Claire showed, adding a metadata attribute to these folders, they're able to actually disseminate all of the assets to the right vendor with a unique embedded watermarks on each asset. So there's two benefits here. Firstly, they're able to easily share assets with all of their vendors in an automated way. The partners are able to have self-serve access in the DAM, so cutting down time for internal teams having to share assets across, as I mentioned, sometimes an ecosystem of 1,000 vendors. Secondly, they're able to protect their intellectual property from leaks, since the watermarks are unique for every single vendor and they're easily traceable in the case that someone within this large ecosystem decides to misuse an asset, especially prior to the launch. Similarly, customers in entertainment and media are another great example where forensic watermarks and DAM are key to protecting unreleased content. When we see companies like film studios that are often working on movies and TV shows, franchising, and even event plans, they, just like our manufacturing customers, they may need to share this with their wider ecosystem of partners. In their case, this might be production partners, distributors, broadcasters, streaming platforms, as well as marketing, advertising agencies, and then press and media outlets. Prior to sharing the assets or giving the partners access to the DAM to be able to self-serve, the film studio can actually embed these watermarks on their finalized episodes, movies, trailers, additional marketing material, etc. The other really big use case in media is actually, film studios, for example, sharing their assets and IP with licensing and merchandising partners. With the DAM and forensic watermarks, they can easily share these assets. This might be things like artwork, character, toy, and collectible designs with their partners. But still have peace of mind that if an asset is shared before its release or a counterfeit product is made using these assets, they can trace that action back to who shared it. And this isn't, specific to media and entertainment. It applies to really any customer that's driving revenue from licensing and merchandising. So this could be companies that are producing consumer packaged goods, retail, gaming, just to name a few. So as mentioned, I just wanted to dive into two potential examples. We also see this tool being useful across a variety of other industries. So we can look at retail and e-commerce. Of course, again, protecting IP. Marketing and advertising agencies is another important one, especially when you're dealing with client assets and contractual issues that could potentially arise from client assets being leaked. Healthcare and pharma is a big one. There's a lot of proprietary drug information, product images, and even pharmaceutical equipment and marketing assets. technology and software as well. So things like images, prototypes, demo videos, and then sports entertainment. There's a lot of franchising, endorsements, and material that is paid for in this industry, and definitely imperative to prevent it from leaking. So what I'll do next is just go over why forensic watermarks are so important. So the risk of leaked content can have significant implications for many customers. I think in the past, when we used to think about watermarking and preventing leaks, it was mostly to do with, for example, film studios and preventing pirated movies. But that's really spanned into actually just protecting IP and maintaining a competitive advantage for a lot of companies, especially now that we're seeing a lot of highly saturated industries and markets where there is a lot of competitors. So some of the biggest risks that we've identified that could potentially, impact not just our customers, but really any customers that have use cases where they need to share external assets with partners is financial loss or loss of revenue. So this is especially important with some of the organizations that I mentioned that monetize or license assets, or even companies that just rely on product launches to drive large streams of revenue. Leaks can undermine these revenue streams, affect sales of products, affect licensing opportunities, and ultimately just decrease the overall value of your content. Another major risk is leaks or damage to your brand and loss of competitive advantage. Leaked IP, product information, images could allow your competitors to replicate or reverse engineer new or unreleased products, or even patented designs. So this can eventually make your product less unique, lead to counterfeit products in the market, and ultimately damage the brand that your organization has worked really hard to establish. And then thirdly, and finally, this is a really big one and super important. Leaks can also have legal implications. So we can see things like copyright infringement lawsuits, breach of confidentiality agreements, contractual issues, as I mentioned, with agencies, and violation of intellectual property rights. These are extreme cases. We, of course, want to avoid these by implementing, a dam and forensic watermarks. But oftentimes companies might face legal actions and have to take on the cost of litigation. So preventing leaks is absolutely imperative in today's landscape. I'll pass it over to Claire to conclude us, and then we can get into some of the Q&A that we have in the chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat. Amazing. So to conclude our presentation, forensic watermarking is a powerful tool that will safeguard your digital content. It will help protect your intellectual property and provide undeniable evidence in copyright infringement cases. By seamlessly integrating it into your workflow, you will save your team time, reduce user error, deter unauthorized usage, and unlock this significant return on investment. So thank you so much for attending our showcase today. If you have any additional questions, you can always reach out to our support team, or you can reach out to Kat or I via LinkedIn. In the meantime, we're going to put up a quick poll to see if anyone's interested in learning more. If you are, someone will reach out to you with more information. And I know we have some Q&As that Kat and I want to answer, so we can kind of jump into that. And if you have any further questions, feel free to pop those into the chat.
Awesome, Ian. Should we start answering some of the questions, or how do you want us to do that? Okay, we'll give it a sec.
Yeah, we said yeah, start answering. Okay. I love it. Oops, I can do that. Kat, do you want to take, you were answering one.
Yeah, sure. We can just kind of start running through the list. So Margaret had a question. Can you please explain further how this works on screenshots? So I think Clara had kind of walked through the process of how the watermark is applied, but essentially it's because it's embedded into the asset, it actually is embedded within the pixels of something like a JPEG, for example. Even if a screenshot is taken of that asset, that watermark is still going to be embedded in the image, and you'll still be able to use a detection portal to upload that screenshot even, which will then tell you more information based on that unique ID that was embedded into the asset. Hopefully that one was answered for you, Margaret. Let us know if you have more questions. Claire, did you want to take any, or did you want me to just?
Yeah, I mean, you can take some, but you can talk about to Courtney's if the assets are already in Media Valet, when placed in the folder, how are they still viewable? Or are they checked out? How does that work? So a really cool feature is that when your assets are in your Media Valet library and they go off to get watermarked through our partner Stag AI, Stag AI does not save any of your assets in their platform or their cloud. They use your Media Valet link to encode the watermark, and then it comes and lives back in your media library. So you'll essentially have, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you'll have two versions. You'll have an unwatermarked version, then you'll have your watermarked version, or many, depending on how many vendors, recipients, clients you want to send that to, those all be your watermarked versions. I think I answered that. If Margaret, no, was it Courtney's question? If you have any further questions or we can explain that further, we can reach out and talk to you about that.
Yeah, the other thing to mention there also is that the way that you segment your DAM here is important. So what we can do is when you add assets, for example, if you have a product category where your images are ready to be shared with vendors, once they're sent to those vendor folders, of course, we have permissions and access in place that only allows those specific vendors to be able to view those assets. While the assets might be the same across your vendors, they're all going to have a unique watermark per vendor, and that vendor is going to have restricted access only to that category where their watermarked asset lives. Just for a little bit extra context.
Thank you.
PowerPoint presentation. So within PowerPoints, we actually extract the individual images or assets, and each one will be watermarked. Protecting an image from being screenshotted using forensic watermarking. So this one is a little bit tough to answer just because there's no way to really protect a user or anyone from screenshotting anything, especially if they've been given access to view it. Within Media Valet, for example, for internal users, users that are, for example, not vendors or part of your external ecosystem, we can apply a physical watermark across the asset so that they're not able to take a screenshot. They can request to have that asset downloaded and sent to them then without the watermark. But for assets that are forensically watermarked, unfortunately, there's no way to prevent users or external users from screenshotting if they wanted to. But you can rest assured that if that asset is leaked, even with a screenshot, you're able to still detect who's responsible for that screenshot being taken and shared. All right, quite a few questions. All right, let's see what else.
How does the deterrence work if the forensic watermark is undetectable? So I guess I can take this one. So I guess it's more so, how you want to position using forensic watermarking. If you want people to know that there's a forensic watermark, so that, hey vendors, just so you know, I'm sending this out to all of you, all the recipients. We do use forensic watermarking. You can kind of use it as a deterrent, or you can kind of play the, a quiet game a little bit and pretend that and just send the assets and see what happens if there's a leak that you can trace later. But I guess it's more if you want people to know that it's a deterrent, for sure. Any other ones, Kat, that you see that we want to tackle?
Yeah, there's a couple on CAD files and 3D files as well as CGI files. So at the moment, the file types that we're able to watermark are image file types, so JPEGs, PNGs, TIFFs. Video files, we can actually watermark individual frames of a video. So forgot to mention that in one of my use cases, but that's a really big one for any video clients that have heavy proprietary video assets. We're actually able to watermark every single frame, and then PDFs as well. For the moment, we don't support 3D assets, but it's something that we can definitely share with our partners. That seems to be a trend in the chat. All right, couple more. There was a good question from Monica. So is it more that you're catching the misuse rather than preventing it? So yeah, this is definitely a big question, a trend, and I think it really depends on what you're trying to do as an organization. Having the threat of watermarks often is enough to prevent people from wanting to leak your content. So if you want to let your vendors know that assets are watermarked, even though they won't be able to see that watermark, to prevent any thought of leaks. Oftentimes organizations may have already had previous leaks, and they are maybe using this tool to identify, leakers in the past. I would say that it's a combination of both, right? So I think it's intended to be really decided on by your organization how you want to use it. It's extremely helpful if you've had a leak, you're able to detect who's done that, and if you wanted to pursue legal action, which in case of some of these larger companies that deal with a lot of IP, that is oftentimes something that they might want to pursue. Is there any more? I think
Yeah, there was a, can watermarking detect image manipulation or modification? If the forensic watermarks can be detected on any, it's embedded into the pixels of an image. So yeah, it can be detected if there's any manipulations or,
yeah, as well as any compression. So
yeah,
if assets have been shared, so of course, the way that the tool is set up is to be able to easily disseminate assets to an ecosystem of partners that are then, using those assets in, for example, their own marketing or however they work with your product. These assets might be shared across social media. They might be shared on blogs, on e-commerce websites. So if you're a manufacturer and you're working with distributors that are then taking your product and putting it in their own CMS and serving it to websites or e-commerce, even if those images go through compression or those videos go through compression or manipulation or modification, the unique ID that's embedded into the pixels won't degrade, and you'll still be able to detect if you have a leak.
amazing.
We reapply every time. I'm just going to read this one. So hi,
Yeah.
I'm a company for filming, and we typically show the same location to dozens of clients. Would we have to reapply a forensic watermark every time? We have to send it to a different client? No. So what you would do in the Media Valley Dam, for example, is you would have your asset. So if you're shooting a certain location and you have 20 assets that come out of that shoot, you would put them into a category labeled shoot June 7th, and then you would have an additional category of your clients. You could have client 1 to client 20. All you have to do is go to where those original assets are, select the assets, apply a metadata filter or a metadata category, metadata attribute to them. And what our tool will do is it will actually copy all of the assets to every individual folder, and it will watermark every single individual asset. Every client will have a unique watermarked asset in their folder.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer. Hopefully answered that question.
It did. Okay.
I think
what does the process look like to detect the forensic watermark? So what happens is if you as the user find one of your assets online that you want to know how it got there, or maybe you noticed a manipulation or something, what you will do is you'll log into our partner, so Stag AIs, they call it their detection portal. You'll quickly upload that asset that you found somewhere on Twitter or Facebook or any platform ever, any blog. Upload that asset to your detection portal, and within seconds, you can find that unique encoded ID, which then you can kind of use back to trace back to who leaked or manipulated that asset. So it's quite quick and very easy.
I think there was another question from Monica. How does deterrence work if the forensic watermark is undetectable? It kind of goes back to what I was saying. Yeah. If you would like to let your vendors or your clients know that the assets that you're sharing with them are watermarked, that would be one way of doing it. We could also add additional metadata in the system to let that client know that the asset has been watermarked. If that's something, that you want to incorporate into that process, it's definitely doable. And in that way, hopefully that provides some deterrence of those clients sharing assets out.
Yeah, I think there's many ways that users can decide how they want to position themselves when using forensic watermarking. So I think that's good.
So as an asset, there's another question. As an
Mhm.
asset owner, can you change or remove a watermark if needed?
Mhm.
So if you are the organization creating the assets and then sharing them, of course, your own internal assets don't need to be watermarked. The watermark is only applied when you select for them to be watermarked. So you can
Yeah.
have your assets living in your dam system unwatermarked. But when you apply the watermark and you share those assets with your vendors, the watermark cannot be removed.
Mhm.
And then, oh, sorry, Claire, go ahead.
No, that's a perfect answer. You can continue.
And then I think just going, if you want to take this one, Claire, just going through how watermarking is priced or whether it's included in the dam or as an add-on service.
Yeah, amazing. So is this watermarking feature included? So it's in, you can set it up in our dam, and from our side, there's no cost associated, but there's a cost associated with our partner Stag AI. And if you want more information on pricing and how to kind of include this, we can definitely reach out and give you some materials to go through that. It's very easy to set up on our end. Does the watermark add any file size? I think we're maybe talking about like storage in the dam. I don't know, Kat.
Margaret, do you mind just just providing a little bit more clarity on that question? Does the watermark add any file size? Does it support any file size or
does it make the file bigger if there's a watermark embedded in it to change the file size?
The file won't be, so the asset, won't be changed in any way. It's going to be the same
file size. Yeah.
No, yes, the file size remains exactly the same. So no change to the file other than so what happens is our partner will grab the file, embed the unique ID, and then return it back to the Media Valley Dam. But no change happens to your asset other than the embedding or weaving of the unique into the pixels. No worries. These are amazing questions.
Yeah, these are great questions.
Great.
Okay. Does anyone have any other burning questions? We can always reach out to Kat or I again, and we can answer some more. If you want any further information, I think we got your email, so that's all good. Thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate it. Go forensic watermarking.
Thanks, everyone.
Very exciting. Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Bye.